gosh, Lewis. The nerves, man. You got to work on those nerves.
What a way to start the show.
That's what I was thinking.
Sets the Bihar. The Bihar? Oh, my God.
The Bihar?
Sets the Joy Behar. Sets the bar high.
Let's see if that works. I have no idea if anyone's here or what's going on. None of my controls are working. Doesn't look like we have any bits. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my gosh. There are the bits. Okay, good. And we're live. You want the tweet action here, Lewis?
That sounds like a great idea.
This will bring him in.
What a way to move the day along.
This is going to be the one. All right. Go ahead and give that some retweet action. We really got to change our video streaming thumbnail. This is not working. I mean, I love it. But like when you look at it from far away, you're like, what the heck is this? Can't tell anything. But you know what? We got Jeff Crumpley here, and with the last name of Crumpley, he's got to be from the UK. Got to be from the UK. Not many Crumpleys over here in the US of A.
Do you want me to make you a template thumbnail that we can add for these live streams before I actually change it after we're done being live?
Sure. I mean,
okay.
It will be better than what we got now. Because what we got.
Our podcast artwork. There we go.
Yeah. Is it in Photoshop? Ah, he's from Charlotte, North Carolina. Wasted. I can't believe it. I've never met a Crumpley before, though. And it doesn't Crumpley. It sounds like a UK last name, like a British last name. It's like Bumblebubbins. My name is Jeffrey Bumblebubbins. It's like, that guy's from the UK. Turlywhack. Scrumpledoo. I mean, I could just come up with these all day.
Turlywhack?
Oh, man, the Turlywhack family has a great reputation in the town of Scrumply Wumple.
There's got to be like a...
Okay, he's originally from England. See, I told you.
East Bummerton or...
Yeah.
Lower Shufflefield.
Right next to South Tooting.
I think that might be where Leander's from.
South Tooting. Tooting Hill.
All right, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. And as I said, I got to be walking these sweet yet very muscular buns out the door in 62 minutes. We got Gern Blanson here. That means we got quorum. We're ready to start. And we got a lot of stories to talk about here today. So let's just get this thing rolling. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, my dear, did somebody say muscular buns? Oh, no. Mrs. D, let's go ahead and stop it right there. I mean, I know you can't be that into muscular buns. You wouldn't be with El Caney. Oh, man.
Dear heavens.
Yeah,
he turns into a shot.
He's not even here to defend himself. Okay, Mrs. D, please just stop. No one wants to hear about that anymore. We got a lot of Apple news to talk about and not a lot of time to go into this stuff. So let's get this thing. Yes, Griffin is green and magenta today. Depending on which eye you have open, he might be one or the other.
Very 90s.
Put on your glasses now.
He looks like one of those old school cable boxes with the dials, and if you like turn the dial right between two channels, it was like two different colors. No? All right.
I'm passing my video through an RF modulator. Obviously.
It looks like it. It looks like it. I think we're going to talk about the Switch too at the end of the show here, because Griffin and
if we can get a move on.
If Lewis would stop talking, we could just get the show going. Let's just about to start. All right. Let's get the music going, and we'll get this thing rolling. In 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to the CultCast Best 30 plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Eric Von Latch. Join me today to collect better intel. He has writers working his shifts, embedded on Apple campus, dressed as trees and bushes. Standing still for days at a time, it's a tough job, and some say it's inhumane, but he's confident it's going to pay off. Managing editor Colton Mac, Lewis Walls is here.
Oh, definitely going to pay off. Investing in the future. That's what we're doing at Cult of Mac.
Also with us, he isn't interested in fancy new consoles like the new Switch 2. Console gaming was perfected with the Apple Pippin, and that's the only gaming system he's ever going to need. He's a writer for Cult of Mac. Griffin Jones is here.
Speaking of things we need, good evening, by the way. Erfan, have you bought a computer?
I have bought a computer.
Have you bought a tablet?
No, but I'm going to do that when my computer is ready. And I'm going to be going to pick it up. God, it took forever to be built. But, and I think I outlined the specs last week. It's going to be available, well, a week earlier than expected. Shocker. But it's going to be available on the 21st. So Tuesday it will be ready to pick up. But I don't know if I'll be able to make it there Tuesday. It's probably going to be the weekend before I can go, which is hard. It's like you know that you have a new computer just sitting there. So I'm going to go pick up my new MacBook Pro on probably the 18th. The 18th of January, I shall have a new MacBook Pro. And I'm going to be picking up the new iPad Pro. I'm like 98% sure I'm going to get the 13-inch and try to live with it for 2 weeks. I figure what the hey. I'll give it a shot. Everyone's telling me it's too big. Everyone's telling me I'm making a huge mistake. But
A huge one.
But the thing is it feels great in the store. How does it feel in everyday life? I just don't know. So I'm going to live with it and see how I like it. Jeff Crumpley, formerly from the UK, says Severance Season 2 kicks off 9 p.m. I'm not reading that time zone. 6 p.m. Pacific time. I'll let you do the calculations for other time zones.
9 p.m. greatest time zone.
6 p.m. tonight. Oh, it's tonight. Oh, I'm forking it over big time, Gurn. Big fork incoming. So if you're not already subscribed, support.thecultcast.com. Support.thecultcast.com. I have some expensive purchases planned. Oh my gosh, this is going to be the year of the great emptying. My wallet just being emptied. Yeah. I have a feeling that we're going to get a new studio display. We'll be talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, which, dude, random announcement today, but there was a leak yesterday on Twitter, and I think Nintendo has had this video queued up, and they're like, okay, cat's out of the bag. I mean, the guy who leaked it had like all these pictures, and he's extremely accurate. I think it's on leaks on Twitter, X. And as soon as that came out, everyone was like, okay, this is the new Switch. So I think Nintendo had to do something. I don't know if they were ready, but man, so excited about the Switch 2. I've been waiting for the Switch 2 for probably 2 years.
Did he leak pictures of the actual product or just promotional images?
I think promotional images. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe. And a bunch of stuff has leaked, and now Nintendo came out and made the announcement this morning, and it looks exactly like the leaks. So cat's out of the bag. There's only two things that I think I might be disappointed with, and everything else is exactly how I was hoping it would be. So we'll talk about all that stuff towards the end of the show. We got a lot of Apple stories to cover. We're going to talk about just how slim the iPhone 17 Air is going to be. We're going to talk about the big upgrades coming, camera upgrades coming to the iPhone 17 Pro. We got 3 overlooked Apple products that are going to be getting an update here in 2025. Lewis is going to fill us in if we have time. Griffin says we got to work this in by 110. I think that's a number he pulled out of the old Keister, but I'm going to stick with it. If I can get to the story before 110, we're going to do it. CarPlay 2 could feature iPhone-style widgets, which I actually did want to talk about. Lewis is going to talk to us about Severance Season 2, and then we'll wrap up with the Switch first impressions if we have time. And I got to be walking these incredibly muscular, manly buns out the door in 55 minutes. So we got to get this thing rolling. Before we do any of that, I do want to thank, I want to thank Factor for supporting this episode. I'm 100% out of my Factor meals. We ate them all, Lewis. They're all gone. And I'm sad about that, but I'll eventually have more on the way. And if you haven't tried Factor meals, it's like having healthy restaurant takeout in your refrigerator, just waiting to be prepared. It's so delicious. They're fresh, never frozen meals. They arrive fully prepared, perfect for any active or busy lifestyle. I almost forgot browser mode. And I think I mentioned this already, but they're never frozen, which is so essential because frozen meals just don't taste as good. I mean, I can eat a hamburger and I can tell you if that ground beef was frozen. I can eat a steak and I can tell you if that meat was frozen. It's just something to the meat and to the vegetables when they're frozen. They just robs the flavor. And Factor meals are just fresh and juicy. They're easy to heat up. I use them. I use my my mini microwave oven or my what's it called? It's not a microwave, huh?
It's not a microwave?
It's not a microwave. No.
Instructions specifically say to use a microwave.
Well, you can use a microwave. I like to use my infrared light oven, which is a device we
It's
can
in
talk.
an easy bake oven? Is that what it is?
It kind of looks like that, actually, because it has the light inside, which
Oh, my
helps
heavens.
cook the food and add the crispiness to it. So it does have that light, but the light actually does something. Oh, man, Factor Foods. There are 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. It's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. I've been doing the Protein Plus. Love it. Just a big old slab of meat with a delicious sauce and a side of vegetables. Man, and they're always so good, and everyone's tastes so distinct from the others. And I was looking at the ingredients list. Hold on, let me just say this real fast.
Okay, yeah.
I was looking at the ingredients list on the Factor Foods, and everything on there was something that you could read. There was
Come on
just
now.
regular food ingredients, right? So it's like actually good, wholesome food. What were you going to say, Lewis?
I was going to ask if you had the chicken Florentine.
I did. We had the chicken Florentine too.
That was like the
it was great.
most tender chicken breast I've ever had in my life.
Dude, even the pork chop,
it was shocking.
which is hard to cook fresh and have it not be dry. Even that was juicy. So
It doesn't have the texture or consistency of it doesn't taste like microwaved food.
not at all.
Even when immediately after you take it out of the microwave. Like the meat is just so perfectly preserved. Like the fact that it's food that has been designed for this purpose means that like it's not like, taking your Applebee's and heating it up in the microwave the next day. I mean, because that's only designed to be cooked in the microwave
gonna
once
say.
in the Applebee's.
That's a science experiment waiting to go wrong with the Applebee's stuff. Let's see here. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/CultCast50 off. That's the number 50. Use code CultCast50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code CultCast50 off at factormeals.com/50 off. So you have to use that code in the URL and when you're checking out. CultCast50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. So it makes the first box a great deal. So there's no reason not to try it because it makes the food incredibly affordable just to try it. Thanks to Factor for supporting this episode. Okay, iPhone 17 Pro could go all in with 48 megapixel rear cameras. Sending it over to Griffin to fill us in.
Sure. So the current iPhone 16 Pro series packs 2 48 megapixel cameras and one 12 megapixel camera for the 5x telephoto lens. The primary and ultra-wide cameras use pixel binning and fusion processing to capture detailed 24 megapixel pictures, but you can unlock the full 48 if you're shooting RAW or on a third-party camera app. But it's that telephoto lens that's sort of a few years behind. I think the sensor in the 5x telephoto lens hasn't actually been revised since the iPhone 13 or 14 generation.
I don't think I realized that, but you can tell when you zoom in, it doesn't look as good.
Yeah. They've like updated like the lenses that make it give that extra zoom, but the sensor is really old. With the upcoming iPhone 17 Pro, Apple will switch to a triple 48 megapixel rear camera setup. As part of this, it'll ditch that ancient 12 megapixel sensor for the zoom lens in favor of the same 48 megapixel sensor that it's using for the other two. The sensor's focal length will seemingly remain unchanged, still offering that 5x zoom. But the higher resolution will lead to a noticeable increase in image quality, and it'll give you the option, hypothetically, for a 10x optical zoom, which would be just insane. Apparently, the upgraded 48 megapixel lens will debut on both the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. Some rumors previously said that it would only be on the bigger phone. For the main 48 megapixel and 5x telephoto cameras, Apple will seemingly switch to a glass plastic lens, which may improve light transmission and overall image sharpness. I think that's the first time we're hearing about that. I don't even know what that kind of material would be. Additionally, leaker Digital Chat Station, interesting name, claims all iPhone 17 models' front camera, the selfie camera, will get an upgrade as well to 24 megapixels. This should enable it to capture more detailed and sharper selfies. The combination of higher resolution sensors and enhanced image processing should allow the iPhone 17 Pro lineup to capture significantly better photos than its predecessor.
All right. Love it.
An iPhone with a better camera than the last
I know.
iPhone?
Did you? This must be something that Gurman got from one of his scoops. You know what I mean? One of his sources. New camera upgrades coming. But you know what, Lewis? As much as you make fun of us, we like to know what the upgrades are going to be, Lewis. That's the point. We want to
I
know
think
what's
my
coming down
eyes
the
just
pipe.
aren't good enough to tell the difference. Because
I
they
think
all
it'd
look
be-
great to me.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes like just the other day, it was really snowy out here. So I took a picture of my dog outside laying down in the snow using that 5x telephoto lens because
Yeah.
it like perfectly framed her amongst the field of white. And then I got back to my computer and I zoomed in and I was like, this actually took it with the telephoto lens, right? And I zoomed in and it looked kind of smudgy and blurry.
Huh.
It was like blown up on a big screen. Like I love the telephoto sensor, but it's not great. It's not the best camera by far. It'll be interesting that if they do this, if they give it that 48 megapixel treatment, that you would then have the iPhone rear camera would then have an optical range of what 1 to 2 and then 5 to 10, but like 2.1 to 4.9 it would be doing like digital cropping like
Yeah, man. I don't.
so
Yeah, I
weird.
don't. I don't love that implementation. And a 10x, it's like okay, I would love to have a 10x, but if you're gonna make me digital zoom from, 3x to 10x, kind of like what you're saying, no, not a fan. I just don't think that 10x is useful enough to sacrifice having a tighter optical zoom range that I think would improve fidelity. Yeah. What up?
I don't use the 5X as much as I thought I would, and because it seems like the only time I really ever go to use it is, like wildlife or something,
Yeah.
picture of a bird up in a tree or something like that. Having, a 10X, that would be awesome because usually the 5X isn't quite, isn't
Not
quite
as far as it seems.
Yeah, it's just not quite good
Yeah.
enough for what you really need that kind of a long lens for. So I don't know.
They need to add an additional camera lens. They need to have 4.
Yeah, like needs to be like
In fact, the whole
3
back
inches thick.
just
3
needs
inches
to be
thick.
camera lenses. Or they need to put like a little periscope on the back so you can go like pirates
They-
used
they
to,
have-
right? Just pull
they
that
have
thing
like
out.
3 here, then they need another 3 right next to the other 3.
Yeah. I mean,
6
maybe
lenses.
one day.
Yeah. And a big ugly horrible hexagon.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure it'd be any worse than what we have now. Well, actually, it would be. Well, let's talk about the next iPhone, which, man, was I showing the wrong story? Oh, no, I wasn't. Okay, I was going to say I was just showing the wrong story that whole time. Apple's upcoming iPhone 17 Air might be thinner than originally rumored. And they're saying this thing's going to be almost as thin as the M4 13-inch iPad Pro. Unless you've held one of those in your hands, you cannot begin to understand how thin that is. The 13-inch, the 12.9-inch, sorry. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro, I mean, this sounds like buzz, but it's like
Yeah, it's
impossibly
13
thin.
now.
They got rid of that 12.9 thing, man.
Oh, is it officially 13 now?
Get with the program.
Okay, good. Because 12.9-inch is way too much to say. But it's ridiculously thin. It's unbelievably thin. When you actually hold it, like it feels like it actually might be more fragile because it is so thin. But having an iPhone that's that thin, I could see why that would be a big selling point. It's going to fit into your pocket a lot easier. It's probably going to be a lot lighter. Let me go back into the story here. The iPhone 17 Air will focus on form factor and slimness over features and functionality. We've talked about that before. I wonder how everyone feels about that. Let me know what you think, chat. In a Medium post, TF International Securities analyst, man, I have to work on shortening that. Ming-Chi Kuo claims the iPhone 17 Air will maybe even thinner. The thinnest part of the device could measure 5.5 millimeters. For comparison, the M4 iPad Pro, Apple's thinnest device, this must be the 13-inch, is just 5.3 millimeters thin. Potential side effect of the 17 Air's slim design is that it might lack a physical SIM card slot, which could be a problem for users in China, because I guess physical SIM cards are still a important feature there. And I don't think I realized this, but the iPhone currently has a version for China that has dual SIM card slots. In China? I didn't know that. And why do they need 2 of them? Is it one for personal use and one that the government monitors? I mean, they probably monitor both, so that can't be it. Why do they need 2?
One personal number and one for work. It's a pretty common thing on Chinese phones.
But why would you need 2 physical SIM card slots for that purpose, right? It's like...
I don't like the eSIMs. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
I think that the EU still has physical SIM card, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, every
Isn't it
version
just
of
the
the
US?
iPhone outside of the US has a physical SIM card slot.
Boy,
Really?
I do not miss physical SIM cards. I
You
hate
know,
those things.
I kind of miss them, but...
Really?
Well, it is more inconvenient, you have to admit. Like, if you've ever wanted to just take your SIM card out and plop it into a new phone, which I don't need to do that often, so for me, the eSIM card solution is fine. But if you have to do the transfer, it's kind of annoying. And if you're going back and forth, obviously that's not going to be something that works for you because you need to be doing the transfer all the time. So, I mean, the physical SIM card slot is so easy just to pop out and pop into a new phone. Now, I don't know why
It's
people would have
always
to do
felt
that that
wrong to
often.
me, like stabbing my iPhone with a paper clip, and then this tiny little metal tray comes out the side of it. Like, it's not. It just felt wrong every time I did that. And like
Like you were
you
hurting
have to
it.
hold on to the tray. You can't drop it or lose it because then your phone just has a hole in the side of it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a good experience.
Yeah, I don't like doing that at the airport. 14 hours after your flight. Oh my God, that was always not the most pleasant thing to do upon arrival in a foreign country.
Yeah, actually, that is interesting. If you take your iPhone to another country and you want to put in another SIM card, I don't know if you could actually accomplish that with a US iPhone.
You can do an eSIM
Yeah, you got to do an
version of
eSIM.
that.
So you can use an eSIM even if you're in Europe and their phones don't use eSIMs?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Their phones, I think they still have eSIMs internationally. They just still make phones with physical SIM card slots for whatever reason.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
interesting.
and-
I wonder why.
There's this is super. I don't think anybody cares, but
Oh, great. Then tell us more about
yeah.
it.
Let me spend 10 minutes on it. No, in Italy, Tim is one of the big. Tim is one of the big carriers.
Tim Apple?
And they,
Oh.
yeah, it should be. But they have this really great tourist thing. It's like 30 days, a lot of giga, as they say. But you got to have a SIM card. So I'm a physical. They don't offer that yet with an eSIM, or they didn't the last time I was there. I was like, God, darn it.
Hey, watch the language here, Lewis.
So you buy your
Family friendly
eSIM
show.
here
Yeah.
I
before
just
you
do
leave.
like one of the international phone plans with AT&T when I go abroad, which is probably more expensive and not as good, but it means I don't ever have to worry about that.
I think my AT&T plan actually includes a bunch of international countries because of the unlimited plan that I'm on. They give you like free roaming and free text messaging across pretty much anywhere I would probably ever want to go. So, but I should look that up
It's
and not just assume.
Verizon's works over there, but it's like $10 a day or something.
Ooh, $10 a day. That sounds like Verizon.
Maybe I
Okay,
got the
look,
wrong plan.
let's move
Okay,
on.
yeah, let's move on.
We gotta get
Move
to these other
on.
stories. Lewis, I hate when we overlook Apple products, and it seems like there's 3 here that may be worth mentioning that are going to get updates. Possibly
Yes, this year, update rumors point to new versions of Apple TV, streaming box, AirTag, and HomePod. Not exciting.
Yeah.
You won't believe the source of this. It is Mark Gurman, author of a newsletter called Power On. So he predicts that a fresh Apple TV model will come out toward the end of the year. Supposedly going to have a faster processor. Like, really? Oh,
I was
yeah,
gonna
of
say,
course.
what else could it do?
I guess this current one runs on a A15 Bionic. Faster processor, might make it better for games. I don't know. Does anybody play games on Apple Arcade?
I think some people do. Yeah, they can't even give it away to me. I mean, they keep asking me like, "Hey, do you want to take advantage of your Apple Arcade subscription?" I'm like, the free one that you get when you buy a phone. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm good.
Let's see. So that's not the only thing, AirTag, supposedly, this actually sounds really exciting. Supposedly going to have significant improvement to the precision finding feature, which is awesome already. This is going to be because of an ultra wideband chip that gets an upgrade. Supposedly going to triple the range.
Wow, I hadn't heard that. Triple
Yeah.
the range.
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? And
That's
that
bonkers.
precision finding thing is great in the first place.
It's coming in clutch.
Yeah. Let's see. Can't have enough AirTags for sure. Let's see. And on the HomePod front, supposedly an improved HomePod Mini is going to arrive in 2025, built with Apple's new smart home ecosystem in mind. I don't know exactly what that means. And I don't know if this is not talking. I don't know. There's been so much confusion about HomePod and this Home Hub, and people keep talking about them almost interchangeably, and like, what's it going to be? It sounds like there's going to be a wall mount, basically like an iPad Lite or something, and nobody knows what it's going to be called. Some people call it a HomePod. I think even Quo called it a HomePod. but what's it really going to be? It's going to be like a home hub. So let's see.
Do you know if the HomePod Mini, Lewis, is going to support ZupDog?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know if the HomePod Mini is going to support ZupDog?
I have no idea. Is this some kind of setup? I don't know what you're talking about.
I was hoping.
What am I supposed to say? What's up, Doc?
Oh, nothing. What's up with you, dog?
What?
See, I was hoping he was going to go for it. Griffin immediately caught on, but alas, I've been trying to bring back things that people used to say from like the '90s and early aughts, and I thought you were going to do it. You were so close. You were so close. I could see it on your lips. You're like, "What's up, dog?"
I think
but you didn't. Darn you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, supposedly new Wi-Fi and ultra wideband chips going to make it better for handoff and everything else, blah, blah, blah. You know what I wish they would do? Drop the price just a smidgen. Because I wouldn't mind having a few more of those sprinkled around the house.
They'll be supporting ZupDog before they drop the price.
Oh, man.
Actually, I'm joking. But they that's a possibility, man. They keep removing features, Make it cheaper.
Siri's going to be so much smarter here in the very near future. That's just going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a reason why I wouldn't put those things all over the house, because we have a few and they drive us crazy. So we have Amazon Alexas in our house instead.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen these third-party products you can buy where you like plug your HomePod into like a small little like hockey puck-sized base, and then it just adds a battery that you can use and turn it into a portable speaker?
No way. I haven't seen that.
I think I've seen that, yeah.
And that's
It would be neat
for
if Apple actually like straight up made a portable HomePod.
It's kind of surprising they haven't. I
There's
mean,
so
I don't know
much
how big of a
competition.
market it is. That's right. There is a lot of competition in the portable speaker market, but they charge so much money for those portable speakers. They're all expensive.
Well, I mean, they're also typically waterproof, dustproof, can take quite a beating.
Dude, I love portable speakers like that. We went on a couple of vacations. So Anchor sent me one, and I think I talked about it on the show, actually. Really great product. Supports spatial audio, and just having that thing like out at a pool when you're on vacation totally changes the whole dynamic of just being outdoors and just hanging out with your friends and stuff. It's so nice to have music anywhere you want to go. I love having those portable speakers. I think Apple should make one. Gall darn it.
Yeah,
Here,
well,
I'll just put one in the show notes right here.
Yeah, one that you
From
like.
Amazon. I
compete
don't know
with,
a HomePod Mini, but this is one that I've seen other people talking about.
Okay.
Just plug your HomePod into it, and then it's a portable speaker, and it has like a little orb-sized base that you can just use to plop it on a
just don't
tailgate
drop
or
it.
something.
Just don't drop it. That's
Don't get
all
it
I use.
wet.
Yeah, I mean, like the Ultimate Ears ones, they're
Yeah.
waterproof, they float, they sound great. I mean,
float. Wow.
Apple would have to have they'd have to spend a lot of money and time doing that. I don't see them ever doing it.
gotta
I
be a big
they've already
market.
got like the Beats pill, right? I mean, does anybody buy those?
I have no idea. I've never purchased a Beats product in my life. I would be too embarrassed to be
me.
seen with Beats headphones.
Really?
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. Not my vibe. Beats brand, I know they're popular. I see them all over the place. I mean, gym especially. I always see people with Beats stuff on. But, yeah, I'd rather just get a pair of Sony headphones or something.
I got a pair of them for free when I got my 2015 MacBook Pro because it happened to be
During the
over
school
the summer.
promotion.
And that used to be their back-to-school promotion thing.
Yeah.
And they were nice. Surprisingly nice.
I mean, at this point, they're probably literally just a reskin of, Apple technology. So, but with the Beats
I had to replace the leather earbuds because they felt like the little cups because those fell apart. And also the
Jeez.
cable, like the little Beats logo on the cable fell off, so I had to glue that back on.
Oh, really?
And then I
Sounds
think the cable
chintzy.
broke, so I had to replace it. But,
What?
Wow,
what were you doing with these things? Mowing the grass. Mowing the grass, were you?
no, it was not. I did not have a lawn to mow at that time.
Oh, man, before we continue, we got Hugo Laston with a $20 donation. European phone system is so much better. Yeah, I don't know about that, Hugo.
It sure is cheaper.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's
And
because
every
you can
time
just
we talk
put a
with,
SIM card into any phone you want.
Any of our, British colleagues, they're just like, you pay how much for what service?
Really?
It's like
Huh.
it's crazy how much we get ripped off for over here.
I mean, but the other thing too is, not to get too much down this avenue, is like our country is so big, and our phones have to work over such huge areas, and
5G, don't forget the 5G.
then there's 5G, the next era of connection speeds, which is
My
so
God,
fast.
it has transformed life on Earth.
Yeah, it is. It's just different here in the U.S. now that 5G's launched. Whereas,
People
the
are throwing
European
horns.
countries are so compact, it's just easier to reach broader groups of people, would be my guess. But you know what? For $20, I'll take your word for it, Hugo Last. Thank you for the super chat. And thank you for last week's super chat, which I think we got before the show, and then completely forgot to mention.
Oh, my
I
God.
blame Lewis. He's responsible for making sure we don't miss super chats. I mean, at least it seems like you should be responsible, Lewis.
That's great.
We never talked about it.
What yeah, what else can I do?
All right. Let's keep it moving here. Do we miss anything from this story, Lewis? I don't think so.
I think we're all
right.
set.
You know what? CarPlay 2. Let's talk about it. Man, I have been loving CarPlay. I talked about a CarPlay computer that I got as a review unit. God, I can't remember the brand. They're available on Amazon. I'll send you a link for the show notes, Griffin, if people want to check it out. It's just this little computer that you mount to your dashboard, and I can't believe how well this thing works. And it syncs with your phone, obviously, and every time you start your car, CarPlay just turns on. And I pretty much only use the maps in CarPlay. That's the only thing that I really have found to be useful, especially with this computer. But that's all it needs to do. I mean, having a map, an always-on CarPlay map, and the animations and everything on this screen are smooth, and it's like a huge screen. I love CarPlay. Like, once you get used to having those directions always there, and every time you start your car, it's like it uses machine learning to be like, hey, are you going here? And a lot of times it gets it right. So you just tap, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. And it, now people always say, well, why do you need directions to your gym, dude? I don't. But I just like to have the live map. Sometimes it will show you something useful. It will show you red light cameras, which we have everywhere here in Seattle. It's like, oh, are you 2 inches too far into the intersection when the light turns red? Boom, ticket. Those things are dangerous, man. I think they should be banned.
If you're out here and there's like a train just blocking a street for like 20 minutes, you see like a red line over it because that'll show up as a traffic jam.
Does it
and you
really?
go
Oh,
around
that's
it.
hilarious.
Yeah, I use them all the time too for places I commonly go. It's just like which route is less congested right now.
Right. Yeah. And I just wanted to see what's going on around me. I kind of like just having the animation going. Anyway, we're getting way off track here. I blame Lewis.
Oh man, we're running out of time.
Apple's CarPlay 2, while Apple CarPlay 2 is expected 2024. I can't speak today.
Wow.
2024 release still hasn't happened. Newly leaked images Thursday show a familiar widget-based interface that mirrors experiences across iOS, iPad OS, and Mac OS. Now, this leaker is considered reliable. If the images prove genuine, who remembers him? They suggest a sensible drive by the iPhone giant to provide a seamless experience across the Apple ecosystem, even on the road. So it looks like widgets that you have on your phone, but supersized and now in CarPlay. And I would say this is probably the only other thing that I would find useful inside of CarPlay besides the maps. Like I don't really need to see. Well, I guess I don't really play a lot of music when I'm driving, so I don't really need to see like the music information on CarPlay. Although that might be useful.
You just drive in silence or what?
I listen to
podcasts.
I listen to podcasts, but via YouTube. Like YouTube is where I listen to all my podcasts. So,
Sure.
and it doesn't support videos. Now that would be useful if it actually played video. Griffin is just absolutely flummoxed that I listen to audio from YouTube all the time. Yeah, I almost never use the podcast app anymore. Why is that?
What
so,
would be
why
the
is that so
benefit of
surprising?
that?
Well, I mean, you get video if you have the ability to actually watch. Otherwise, you can just listen to the audio. So whatever I'm listening to, because I pay for YouTube Premium, so I can churn my iPhone screen. I can put it to sleep, and the audio continues playing. I totally admit it's ridiculous that they lock that feature behind a paywall. But what else are they going to make you? What other feature is going to be there besides the ad removal that you're going to be willing to pay for?
I just have a like a Safari extension that can do that for me, and then I just use YouTube on the web app.
Dude, I tried to do that so many times, and YouTube was always playing whack-a-mole with those kinds of features, and then I would use them for a while, and then suddenly they would stop working.
The one I've been using for years and still hasn't broken, I'll put a link in the show notes, is called Vinegar. What it does is it actually replaces the YouTube video player with like a standard iOS video player. So you can do picture in picture, you can keep playing in the background, all that stuff. It's great.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like solutions to bypass YouTube advertisements is like getting directions from people in California to get somewhere. It's like everyone's got their own secret way that they go. They're like, it's like that SNL sketch. I take Pasadena to El Toronto, then I take a right, and like you try it, and then it never actually works. But I'll take your word for it.
Take the 405.
Did you ever watch that sketch on SNL, The Californians? Oh,
So
dude,
ridiculous.
that one was so funny. Okay, I think we powered through all that stuff. God, look at us go, man. We're at 101. And we haven't even gotten to Severance yet. Okay, what are you typing? Okay, you want me to
Taking down notes of what to put in the show.
Okay, I was gonna say Griffin's
And
typing
now I'm
me a
taking down
live
marker to
note
edit this out of
here.
the show.
I'm like, am I gonna have to go full Ron Burgundy and just read whatever he's writing?
URL.
Just go to URL to find it, folks. Oh man.
Oh my God.
Okay, Lewis, let's talk about Severance, shall we?
Yeah. So I guess by the
tonight?
time this podcast actually comes out, it's going to be already out, right?
Dude.
Season 2.
I forgot it was tonight.
Yeah, so exciting, so very exciting, and honestly, like the way that Apple has been promoting this
Dude,
show is insane.
I have not seen this. This is genius. I haven't seen anything about this.
Really?
No,
You
this is the
didn't-
first time
yeah.
seeing it. In fact, when I was just scrolling just to look at the lead image, I was like, is this like an advertisement or is this a real thing?
Yeah, it's they set up a clear cubicle in Grand Central Station in New York, and they had
It's like encased in clear plastic.
yeah a glass.
Like it's a display in a zoo. Like
Yeah.
and then inside there is like the set of 4 cubicles for the macro data refinement office in Severance.
I mean, the
Yeah,
fact that
and
you even
they-
know what they do, I'm so impressed by that. Yeah.
They had like people in there working, but then the stars of the show came in there like at rush hour, I think. And I don't know if it's rush hour, but 3 of the main stars from the show, Ben Stiller, who's a director of it, and everybody was there. They made this big splash, right? And and they're just like, it's like they were just going about their business, doing their jobs. And if you,
They were just like pretending they were working for 3 hours. For 3 hours
Wow.
straight, they were in that cube, like talking to each other and just doing macro data refinement. It's apparently like a real thing that like those computers can actually do.
Milchek was there, with the ball throwing. I mean, and not only that, so they did all that stuff, which was interesting enough. They put out a video, like a minute and a half video, looks like a slick documentary about it. With that awesome soundtrack going in the background. I mean, all that was crazy. Then they also they put out this, like, I guess a web app that you can put your face on a balloon, like, which is part of another Severance ad. I mean, or promo spot. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I've never seen
impressive.
Apple spend so much time and effort promoting a show, and I'm really glad that they are, because in my mind, this is one of the most like interesting creative shows I've ever seen. And I just today was looking over all the different headlines everywhere about it, and I saw some headline that it really kind of summed it up. It was like Severance is too good for Apple TV Plus, and it was all about how this is a really fantastic show, but Apple TV Plus has such a small subscription base that it's really just like lost to society, lost to culture, and so they did something else too. I think that they put Severance on like Roku sticks or something, like they
Really?
let
You can
people
watch
see it.
season 1 for free on Roku right now, I think.
Okay. That's
Yeah, I don't know
interesting.
how long that lasts or whatever, but so they're desperately trying to get people to watch this show, and for once, I think it's actually something that's worthwhile. I mean, it's not like they're promoting some silly movie that's kind of a dime a dozen sort of movie. They're spending on something that is truly a weird creative show. And it's funny. Every time I try to explain it to somebody, it's like, how do you describe that show? I mean, it's kind of a sci-fi show. Some of the guys that write about it on our site call it like a workplace comedy. That really like is misleading shorthand.
Yeah, I think that's very reductive. There's way more going on than it just being a workplace
The
comedy.
Office, Parks and Rec, and Severance. Three workplace comedies.
Yeah, that's right.
It's there's just, it's hard to kind of encapsulate the like weird. It's kind of, it's just ominous in a way. It's ominous, and then it'll have something that's just so funny and creative that you're like, how did they even think this up?
Yeah.
So
it is definitely one of the most unusual and creative shows on television right now. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but like when they start to show you a bit deeper into the building and like some of the rooms with some like the religious stuff that's going on, it's like, oh man, that's like a whole element that gives you a little bit of insight into like how strange this company actually is, and it adds more mystery and mystique as to like what is actually going on here. Like, what do these people even do? Like you spend a whole season watching and you still don't know. It's like, but I will say this piece of advertising I just think is so smart to do something so simple, and yet if you saw this inside of a train station, like you would be standing there watching it for sure, trying to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, if you hadn't seen the show, you'd be like, what is going on here? Have you seen? Did you go to severanceballoon.com?
Severanceballoon.com. Let me see if I can do this real fast. Severanceballoon.com. Okay. It's just got a simple proceed button.
Yeah.
Okay. It's loading. It's a computer screen. One of the computers from Severance. Oh. And then you can like upload your own face.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, which is most of you, there's a Severance computer, and then on it there is a suit with a balloon with a string going down into like where a head would be inside the suit, but instead the head is a floating balloon. And on the balloon there's what is his name? The character's name? Mark. His face is like imprinted on the balloon, and I guess you can like change that imprint to be your own.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that's pretty cool. I might make that
my
new Twitter avatar.
It kind of feels a lot like I don't know, the early 2000s or something, but
can I do this live?
Still cool. Oh my.
I don't know what's going to happen because I'm using my camera for the stream. Did I just disappear for you guys? No, it says no signal. Never mind. It's not going to work. I'll have to do it afterwards. I was scared it was going to hijack my signal from the stream, but it didn't do it.
They also, if people go to the story, they can see all this stuff, got it all embedded. They also put one of those Lumen Industries terminals on the homepage of Apple.com today. Like it's a giant picture of it. I've just never seen them get behind a show so much, and it's so refreshing. They also put out an ad, or a fake ad earlier this week. That's like some kind of 70s style Lumen Industries ad. That's like something you'd see. You remember how Lost had those kinds of things? Those weird vintage commercials for the mysterious company behind it. It's a pretty they've spent a lot of time thinking about it, which is totally appropriate because it's such a creative show. So I oftentimes have problems with Apple's PR department, but
no, say it ain't so.
I mean, honestly, like they're killing it with this.
Yeah, it's good, man,
and it's worth.
All right, well, I think my Apple TV Plus subscription is still going, so maybe I can download all these and watch them. I'm going on a little trip. Maybe I can watch them on my flight.
That's what's so disappointing. You say, I think my Apple TV Plus subscription is still.
Well, I got a free subscription
that shows
with my
iPhone. How much you're just really watching it.
Oh, they're only going to trickle out the episodes one by one, though. So
Right.
never mind. I can't even do that. This is freaking Apple TV, man.
That is the worst thing about Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, well, I know. I think they do it because they want to keep you around. They don't have enough content to keep you going all the time, so they have to trickle this stuff out so that you don't subscribe for a month, watch the whole show, and then peace out, which is probably what a lot of people would do.
Or 7-day free trial, and then peace out.
Or that. Anyway, all right. Severance starts tonight. Well, I'm sure we'll talk more about this as we watch the show, but I hope it's good, man. Like, I really like season 2 of Silo, but I also feel like it just didn't really answer anything yet. It just introduced even more question marks, and I was hoping for some kind of payoff, but they're obviously going for the long tail on this. Like, maybe they're going to spend 2 or 3 episodes building up, or 2 or 3 seasons, and then finally start answering questions. I don't know. And I'm kind of hoping Severance has a payoff here, at least in some degree, but
man,
it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't.
I mean, I didn't read any of these because I just don't want to know anything about it. But the reviews that I saw for the season 2 of Severance, which some kind of embargo lifted earlier this week, I saw a ton of people saying it does the show, it does right by the show. It's just as good and a worthy second season. So I honestly, Silo season 2, I haven't been that thrilled with it. It seems kind of slow. There's a lot of like, it's so dimly lit I can barely see anything that's going on. It's like I sometimes feel like I'm actually just watching a mud pile bubble or something. It's like, but it just seems like a lot of that could have been boiled down into less. And I honestly, I'm not all that taken with the like internal politics of the Silo. I don't know. That part of it's kind of driving me a little crazy.
Yeah, I don't like when they take modern concepts and put them into like a scenario that's like sci-fi-y or just unusual, and like the Silo politics stuff, right? It's like normal politics that would happen, but within the Silo now. So now it's like futuristic and sci-fi. They did the same thing in Walk of the Dead. There was like a whole season with like the governor, and they're in this town. There's like all these like politics that are happening. I don't care about any of that stuff. I want to know what's going on with the zombies. Why are there zombies everywhere? What are we going to do about the zombie problem? I don't care about the relationship struggles that we're having, or necessarily the fight for, chocolate. Like, I want to know, why is everyone turning into zombies, and what are we going to do about that? And when they depart from that, I'm less interested in it. Anyway, man, I was going to give a quick plug as far as things being true to the material. I have heard nothing but absolutely great things about the new Indiana Jones game. I don't know if you guys knew that a new Indiana Jones came, and I think
the Dial of Destiny, I think it's called.
Is Dial of Destiny is what it's called? What was the last?
I don't know.
That was the movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the movie. Oh my gosh, this is gonna bug me. Let me see. Indiana Jones has a new game from Bethesda, and
The Great Circle.
And the Great Circle. Thank you. And I have heard from everyone that has played it that it is the most reverent, true to the source material Indiana Jones that has been released since The Last Crusade. People absolutely love this game. They're all just talking about how well it's made, how the voice acting is perfect, how the person they have playing Indiana Jones does his voice almost better than he does. The music is great. So I haven't played it yet, but I want to just sprinkle that in for those who like to game, because I've been hearing nothing but great things. Like, it's so positive that I'm actually thinking about breaking from my current game that I'm playing just to play it. And I heard it takes like maybe 50, 60 hours to get through the whole thing if you're a completionist, which I tend to be. But anyway, speaking of gaming, that's all the Apple news we have. So if you want to tune out now, you're welcome to do so. But big announcement this week. In fact, hot off the press, man. I heard the first rumors I heard of this were last night. It seemed to have leaked on Twitter. And then this morning, Nintendo pulls the veil off. We're getting a brand new Switch 2, which I think is... When did the Switch 1 came out? Wasn't it 2017?
2017 or 2016? I think, 2017, yeah. Early 2017.
Has it been that long? When did Switch come out? Yes, it was March 3rd, 2017. Wow. That is an old console. I did not realize it had been that long. So here we are. What is that? Almost 8 years, right? And Switch is finally announcing a Switch 2. there's been so much hype around Switch 2, right? What is it going to be? What features is it going to support? Is it going to be a continuation of the Switch formula? Is it going to be something completely new, like from Wii to Wii U was kind of a weird departure. Now, I really like the Wii U, but that console did not sell at all. I wonder if I can play this video without us getting copyrighted if I just mute the music. Let's see here. I'll play a little bit of
Nintendo
it.
is pretty litigious. I don't.
Okay, I'll just show some screenshots of it. So this is the old Switch, the current Switch. And now this is going to be, and I know I'll describe this for you, for those of you who are listening, which is most of you.
I'll make it the chapter artwork as well.
Good idea. So these are the new, I guess those are the previous Joy-Cons. I know these are the current Joy-Cons.
It's a little bigger, and it looks a lot nicer. It just looks like more refined in a way.
Yeah.
And the Joy-Cons are black rather than colored, but they have like little colorful accents underneath the joysticks and themselves.
Yeah.
And like the little side rail where they attach magnetically, by the way. No more like potentially awkward.
Those slide controls were really difficult to use sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Like the inside of the side rails are color accented as well. And I saw some people saying that like this doesn't necessarily mean that the color is gone entirely, because apparently the original Switch teaser only showed the gray Joy-Cons and not the colorful ones. So they may be just hiding the color options for the big reveal later. We should also say this is only a teaser. All we've seen is like the design and a preview of a new Mario Kart game. A full unveiling that'll have like specs, price, actual release date, possibly more color options is coming on April 2nd.
Yeah, man. I am looking forward to that. So I'm so hyped about this. So I think other big things to note is they're expecting it to have 1080p in handheld mode, which is an upgrade from 720p. 720p, the current Switch. And from the specs that were leaked and from the leaked materials that have been revealed, it looks like both the Switch and the dock are thicker. And the dock is so thick, it looks like maybe it houses some additional hardware, which is leading people to speculate that this thing is actually going to be 4K docked mode, which the current docked mode is 1080p. That was my absolute number one feature. It has to support 4K. How is it going to do that? I don't know. Can it do that? I don't know. But if it can do 4K docked, then dream come true for me. The games are going to look so incredible in 4K. Like playing through any of the Zelda games, I don't know if they would go back and remaster those games for 4K. I imagine that they will. It would be playthrough material at that point. I mean, playthrough again.
I wonder if when you're playing old Switch games, it'll have like some kind of upscaling mode where it can like
DLSS or something like in the new NVIDIA GPUs. I mean, dude, it might. Who knows?
Also, I think heard like a rumor that the chipset inside is going to be based on like the NVIDIA 3050, which is a few generations behind, but much more powerful than the original Switch and pretty powerful, I think, for a handheld flat out.
Nintendo does such a good job making their games look great, at least their first-party games. I don't know why you'd play third-party games unless they're indie games on a Switch. Like I see people buying like Borderlands on Switch. I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you ever play? I mean, I guess if it's your only console, okay. But the Switch has never been good for playing third-party games. Like, it's perfect for indie games and then for Nintendo's first-party games because Nintendo has some kind of magic. I mean, their first-party games look so incredible. Even in 720p, which I would never even consider for a game made by another publisher. So the other thing I would mention is much bigger screen. But the rumor is no OLED, which I think is a huge miss. Extremely disappointing for them to basically sell an OLED Switch and then to go back and say, actually, we're doing LED again. It's like, dude, OLED should be the standard going forward. There should be nothing but OLED going forward from here. And I'm sure that they're going to release an OLED model, sometime down the line, which is going to force all of us who love the Switch to buy another model. So that's probably why they're doing it.
What I noticed is that this design, although the screen is bigger, there's still a noticeable bezel around the edge, and that almost makes me think maybe the bezel on this one is a little big to give themselves leeway for a future OLED model to have like the same physical dimensions with a bigger OLED screen.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. I love the magnetic connections for the Joy-Con. I really don't like the rail system they have in place. I mean, it's fine. It works, but it's so clumsy. I also heard that they're upgrading the game port to support, I forget the name of the standard. It's brand new. But essentially, you would be able to play games off of the disc instead of having to download them and install them on the Switch before you could play them, which would allow you to not have to store all the games on your Switch SSD. Oh, that is the new Mario Kart. I didn't even realize they had a new Mario Kart that they were showcasing here.
What I noticed is that I really like the design of the kickstand. Do you remember how awful the kickstand was on the original 2017 Switch?
I have the original. Yeah.
Like, you just put it in. If you use the kickstand once, then it gets looser. And then, like, you try to put it in the dock, and then, like, you don't realize the kickstand is slightly kicked out, and then you're afraid you're going to, like, break the damn thing. Like,
it was really
it's such
flimsy.
a flimsy little piece of, like, just bent metal. This kickstand looks really nice. You know, they're finally catching up to the Microsoft Surface of 10 years ago with their kickstand.
The Microsoft Surface. You know what, though? If I had to poke a couple holes, at least from what I've seen so far, I feel like the Switch looks too grown up. The last Switch looked like a game console. It was more whimsical. I like the colored Joy-Cons. And to your point, maybe they have colored Joy-Cons that you can get. Because this current Switch, or the Switch 2, it just looks too, like, the whole thing's black. It just kind of feels like it lost some of its playfulness. And it looks just like every other game console, portable game console that is being released right now. Like, it looks like a Steam Deck, which I kind of don't love. I kind of like that it looked playful. And it looked like something
Steam
from
Deck
the Nintendo.
is like twice as bulky. Like, this is much thinner. It'll probably feel nicer in the hand than the Steam Deck.
Yeah, it probably will. I just mean from an aesthetic perspective.
Yeah.
The Switch was so distinctive. I mean, I can't tell this. It looks like the color underneath the actual joystick illuminates. And I can't tell if this is just the video that I'm looking at or if it actually does that. That would be a surprising feature, I guess. That would be a little bit weird.
The circle around it?
Yeah, like the circle, like the area underneath the joystick, like where the ball goes into the actual controller, is colored. And it looks like it's like illuminated in the video, but that can't be real. It looks like just a video effect, or maybe like my monitor's HDR. Maybe yeah, it's probably just my monitor.
I've seen
HDR.
people talking about this, but I don't entirely know what it means. The part of the reveal where they attach the like the additional plastic piece onto the separated Joy-Cons, and you see the Joy-Cons like slide around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying that makes them think that you'll be able to slide the Joy-Con around on the surface of a table like a mouse. And I don't entirely know what you would use that for, but apparently that's a rumor.
Yeah. So I heard that too. Micro SD express cards, level remix from the chat. Yes, thank you. I heard it's going to support that, which increases the transfer rate from 100 megabytes per second to 800 megabytes per second, which obviously is a big deal. I think it enables people to play more like PC gaming, where they could have a controller be a mouse. So maybe you use one Joy-Con for like moving around and the other one for aiming, or vice versa.
It's for Mario Paint for the Super Nintendo.
or maybe that. Or maybe that. But again, a lot of these are just rumored features. Like, we can't really be sure what's going to happen, and Nintendo hasn't revealed anything except for the way that it looks, and that it does play original Nintendo Switch games, and then, Nintendo Switch 2 games as well. What were you going to say, Lewis?
I've never even played a game on one of these things. I don't even know how they work. So those Joy-Cons come off of it, and you put a little. I mean, is that when you're playing a game on a TV screen rather than on the?
Some games only require you to have one of them. Like if you're playing Mario Party, then every player only gets one half of a Joy-Con. But you can also play with both of them if you're playing like a more complicated game like Super Mario Odyssey or like Legend of Zelda, where you need more in-depth controls. And so you can either play with two of them, like one in each hand, or you can snap them together into like a little holder, like using both as one solid controller, or you can snap both of them on either side of the Switch for like handheld gaming, or you can dock the Switch and play with like a full-size Pro controller.
That was the genius of the Switch, was that you could play it handheld in your hands, but but it also came with a dock. And when you put it in the dock, it would send the signal to your TV, and it would actually make the machine more powerful. And so you could just pick your Switch up, play a game wherever you are, and then put it in the dock, and now all of a sudden you're playing on your TV. So it's like the best of both worlds, right? It's portable, but it's also on your TV. And your game state was always wherever you had stopped, your game state was always there, ready to be picked up. So you could just put the Switch to sleep, and as soon as you woke it up, it was like boom, you were just right back in the game. There's no like waiting for it to load or anything. You could just keep playing, and it's so simple. And it's just shocking that no one has really nailed this formula before. I mean, the PlayStation tried with the PS Vita forever ago, but like that was only a handheld console. I don't think you could do anything on the TV with it. And for me, I prefer having experiences on my TV. Like I know people that watch movies on their laptop, and I just think that is such a poor experience. Why would you ever do that? Like you ruin the movie by watching it on your laptop. The same with games. Now, not all games maybe, but for the really good games, I want to see them on my OLED TV. I want to have the music and the sound routed through my HomePods. I want to have a better audio experience. And I feel like that's maybe like an antiquated way of thinking. Like all the kids, all the youths, they don't seem to care. But I care.
I think as much as people were interested to see a new form factor because Nintendo can just make interesting designs, they had a winning formula with the Switch. And so I'm not disappointed that the Switch 2 is basically a new Switch.
Me either.
I think it's great.
This is all it needed to be. This was all it needed to be. It needed to have a bigger screen, a better screen, because the original Switch screen, not great in my opinion. In fact, I almost never played handheld because I did not like the fidelity of that screen. The OLED is way, 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 way better. And then 4K. I mean, the resolution of the actual gameplay was always irksome to me. I'm like 720 in handheld mode. Drake hand for that. Not a fan. 1080p, even the 1080p, I'm like, are you upscaling this? It looks like you're cheating. And in fact, I think that they were, depending on the game. And it reminded me of Nintendo Switch consoles of yore, when you'd be playing and the frame rate would suddenly drop to like, 7 to 8 frames a second because there's just too much going on in the actual game. Like that kind of thing seemed to happen in Breath of the Wild all the time. And I hope they've dialed out some of that stuff. And yet, it's still one of the most popular consoles ever sold. In fact, the Switch 2, if not the most popular console, I think might be close to the most popular console, which would be like PS2 or PlayStation 4 would be my guess. But people love the Switch. It's one of the most popular consoles that's ever been made. And it came on the back of one of the least popular consoles ever made. The Wii U was such a huge failure. Although I liked it, as I mentioned, it was like a very quirky console. And it had a very opinionated way to play games because one of the controllers had a screen in it. And so, in fact, it looked like a Switch. Except there was a console that also had to be plugged into your TV. So like some people had like a regular controller, and then one person would have a controller with a screen on it. And it did create some really fun dynamics within gaming that were totally unique and original to Nintendo. Like there was a Luigi's Mansion game where you were like, if you had the main controller with the screen on it, you were a ghost and you could see all the other players walking around the game, but they couldn't see you on the TV. So they're all looking at the TV. You're looking at your screen on your controller. And they had these flashlights, and they would walk around the level, and their flashlight only had a certain amount of battery power. And they had to, like, solve these puzzles. Meanwhile, you're, like, walking around trying to grab them. And if you grab them, then they get taken out of the game. So, like, when you get close to them, their controller starts to vibrate, and they're like shining their flashlight everywhere, trying to figure out where you are, and they can't see you, but you can see them on your controller. Like that was a really cool game. In fact, I think one of my favorite games ever. So it enabled experiences like that, but a lot of the games were just kind of quirky and weird. And so anyway, the Switch was.
One last comment.
What's that?
The Nintendo Switch 2 has a second port on the top for some reason. I'm not sure what that's for, but that does mean that the Switch 2 has more ports than the $3,000 iPad Pro.
Well, you only need one port. That's all you ever need. That's it. Why would you ever need more than one? Anyway, Griffin and I were excited about this because, well, it's the Switch 2. It's worthy of praise and worthy to talk about. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. But if you want to come hang out with us, talk mano y mano, just head on over to support.thecultcast.com and fork it over. It's only $5 a month. Only $5 a month. And you'll get access to the very exclusive Cult Club. Of course, we're also on social media. I'm on the all-new X, duking it out. So is Lewis. I'm at Erfon, ERFON. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. And if you just search D. Griffin Jones, you'll find all the places that Griffin likes to lurk. There's probably several. And have a one-on-one conversation with him in those places. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute album conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening and for hanging out live. And we will see you guys next time. All right. And if you're going to be in Washington, D.C. this weekend, maybe look out for me. Maybe look out for me. Let's see me on the streets. Patrolling the scene. Storming the Capitol. No. I disavow that comment, Lewis.
Thank God.
That was a joke. Just want to be explicit about that.
Are jokes allowed now?
Only on X. Actually, Facebook. Jokes on Facebook now. All right, everyone. Have a good weekend. I'm going to go ahead and stop this before it gets any more inappropriate. Bye, y'all.